Why are hatchbacks dying in US markets? I don't understand why sedans are disappearing. Families are growing smaller and smaller, and the cars are getting fatter and fatter. There are still plenty of hatchbacks, but the term is unpopular, so most manufacturers just lump them into the amorphous crossover category now. Where I live, I am pretty sure that a Subaru Outback and a pickup truck just come as inclusions when you buy a house. Essentially, we subsidize SUVs because of loopholes in the CAFE standard meant to protect rural workers and farmers from efficiency standards. This video explains how this happened and the resulting push by car companies to market and sell these new SUVs, which conveniently have a higher profit margin for manufacturers. Because of this profit incentive, the car companies pushed these vehicles on consumers, and the advertising worked. I grew up in the 70s, and the real question is what happened to all the station wagons. Remember those, anyone? Station wagons were the predecessor to hatchbacks and SUVs. I went to Tijuana about 15 years ago and realized where they all went. Lol. Subaru Outbacks are pretty nice rides. Car seats. The target market for cars is parents with kids. And car seats mean that you cannot fit 2 kids, let alone 3, in the back of a Civic anymore unless mom and dad are elf-sized. When I was a kid, you could fit 3 kids in the back of a compact sedan, because nobody sat in a car seat past age 4, and the ones littler kids sat in didn't take up the same amount of space as a fighter jet ejection seat. It now takes a minivan, SUV, or a large 2-row plus vehicle like a crew cab 1500 size pickup to move a family of 4 plus. Even the 1500s can have issues, as some of them are too narrow in the backseat or have too little legroom. My wife and I, both 5 feet 10 inches, started out with a Mazda 3 before kids. Then we had 1 kid and the passenger seat became painful to sit in. Car seats are so awful to move that you leave it in, even if the kid isn't riding. Then we had 2 kids and got a Mazda 6, which worked, but barely. Then 3 kids, and no more sedans. And in terms of this issue, a hatchback doesn't change anything versus a regular sedan. I have a Subaru Impreza hatchback. It's fine for my family, my partner, and my dog. But if we had a kid, I'd probably want a bigger car. I like the convenience of the hatchback trunk, but I think I want a little more storage, especially on road trips. And it's also made me want to be a little higher off the ground when dealing with potholes, speed bumps, and all the massive cars around me and their halogen bulbs that aren't even on the brightest setting, killing me in my mirrors. Could be a geography thing too. Hatchbacks are typically lower ground clearance, and that is a tough sell in rural areas or places with a lot of snow. Family sizes are often larger in the US compared to Europe, and hatchbacks are on the smaller side for that, especially if your kids are into sports. I would love to see shooting brakes become more popular here, but that's just wishful thinking. I just saw a VW Golf Alltrack yesterday, and it reminded me how good-looking and efficient they are. How exactly do you describe a hatchback? I'd traditionally think of it as a sedan in the front, with a sloping, angled rear window or hatch. Today I think a lot of hatchbacks have simply become fullbacks, full flat roof, vertical rear hatch. Like the Mazda 3, there's a Hyundai Ioniq hatchback coming, the VW Golf, etc. If you want something bigger, you're just looking at a crossover, which is a slightly taller hatchback, station wagon, SUV. SUV is in quotes because a lot of them really aren't any larger than their sedan counterparts. Yeah, crossover can be an annoyingly generic term. but at the same time, they really are grabbing bits and pieces of a whole lot of different vehicles and mixing them together. Some of it likely comes down to efficiency standards, which are based on wheelbase and vehicle classification. SUVs are classified as trucks, and therefore allowed to be less fuel efficient than a car of an equivalent wheelbase. I'm not positive, but based on ground clearance and intended use, I believe a station wagon would be classified as a passenger vehicle and lumped in with sedans, because the wheelbase on a station wagon is longer than even the longest sedan's wheelbase. It's going to struggle to meet efficiency standards. A crossover may skirt the line and be able to be considered a truck, which is why it's one of the few hatchbacks we see still on the market. Hatchbacks have never been popular in the US even pre-SUV. Most car buyers picked sedans or sporty coupes. Now, very few buyers choose any form of car. I think Americans just like big cars. Outside of cities, roads in the US are big. Parking spots are big. Houses are big. Everything is big. And gas is relatively cheap. So the market for small cars has never really developed. Across all topics, I love people declaring they know what millions upon millions strangers need, better than those strangers themselves. Because people don't want to have to rent a larger vehicle every 1 in 20 time they need more space. And 95% is way overstated. People have kids and pets and activities they enjoy that require equipment. Being 6 feet 5 inches, I love the ease of getting in and out of my SUV. A hatchback will suffice for everything you will need 95% of the time for the average person. I love it when people just talk out of their dollar like they know what everyone else needs and should get, based on their own needs and preferences. I had a hatchback sports car that I absolutely loved, but after I really started working, it became more or less just a toy. And while I don't drive an SUV anymore, I've owned 3, a Grand Cherokee Never Again, and 2 Expeditions, and I would regularly fill them up, and is why I moved to even bigger vehicles. I have a crossover. That is a fancy name for a hatchback. As a person who loves both station wagons and minivans, yes, believe it or not, I am a male. I have transitioned to SUVs. The reasons: for our household, handling in winter, snow, AWD, capacity, people and/or cargo, towing ability, size, safety in event of accident and general visibility, driving vacations, people, pets, cargo. But we have 2 cars. We only need 1 SUV. My wife initially wanted a small SUV, Toyota RAV4 or Honda CR-V, but after test driving, she preferred a sedan and went with the Toyota Camry AWD for winter driving and better gas mileage. To me, the only drawbacks of a mid-size or moderate large-sized SUV, like Honda Pilot or Toyota Highlander, are poor gas mileage, more expensive consumables, tires and brakes.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.